I know you guys like to network. And I thought we gave you a full half hour to do that, but obviously the momentum is continuing. Good morning. My name is Armando Ojeda. I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, I would like to welcome you to our 8th annual Public Policy Breakfast. So at this time, before breakfast is served, I would invite you to stand, please, and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. So welcome once again, and you guys can't wait to talk. So, you know, I know breakfast is going to be served so I can have something else in your mouth and sort of keep the roar down to a dull one. So our purpose today is to expose our members, our stakeholders, and our civic leaders to the public policy issues that are of interest to the Hispanic business community. So within this context, MHCC invites keynote speakers that have an informed point of view, they bring new and interesting information, and they offer a roadmap for ways the Hispanic business community can influence and shape the issues that affect them. So accordingly, we are pleased to have this morning Oakland County Executive L. Brooks Patterson as our featured speaker. Yes, a round of applause. But before I bring him to the podium, though, I have a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. So on your tables are some index cards and hopefully some pens as well, so that you can write questions of Mr. Patterson. You know, when there's lots of issues, and you know he's going to be provocative and not controversial, so here's your opportunity, okay? So when you are finished with your cards, if you could just raise your hand, and we will have some of the volunteers in the back to come back and pick them up. And at the end of Mr. Patterson's remarks, we will have State Representative Lee Gonzalez come and answer or ask some of the questions of Mr. Patterson. So what I'd like to do now is take the opportunity to recognize the sponsors who were so helpful in making this event possible. So first, I'd like to recognize the bronze sponsors: BAE Industries, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Carson Fisher, Comerica Bank, Lori Saul and Associates, IB Torres, MGM Grand Detroit, Real Times Media, and Scion Steel. Our silver sponsors include CNI, wait till the end, include CNI, the Diaz Group, and 3 Star Trucking. Our gold sponsor today is ASG Renaissance, and this morning's reception sponsor is the law firm of Williams Acosta. So let's recognize now our sponsors. So just beyond the applause, I would like us to remember the notion of reciprocity. So what that means is support those companies that support you. And you will see their logos being displayed on the screen here. So to the extent that you can, patronize our sponsors with your business. So, but be advised, please, that I did not forget nor otherwise overlook our event sponsor, DTE Energy. DTE has been steadfast in their sponsorship of this event for many years, and they've also been very helpful in challenging the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and supporting the Chamber in working through the process of engagement in public policy. So we have benefited greatly from that. So at this time, I would like to cede the floor, not the podium, but the floor, literally, to Trevor Lauer, the DTE Vice President of Marketing and Renewables, who will say a few words on behalf of DTE. Trevor?
Well, Thank you, Armando, and thanks everybody for joining us this morning. On behalf of the firm DTE, we're really pleased to be a sponsor of this morning's public policy breakfast. And we've had a long-term working relationship with the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. The Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is a group of businesses that are focused on fostering a positive economic climate for growth for Hispanic businesses in the greater Michigan region. And that really aligns well with what DTE Energy is trying to do also. Our business is successful when everybody else in this room's business is successful. So we're laser focused on economic development. We spend a lot of time in the public policy arena trying to help policymakers, like our keynote speaker this morning, try to put policies in place that help all of our businesses. For those of you that have seen our CEO, Jerry Anderson, speak, he talks about the aspirations of our business really being twofold at DTE, and I'll mention them quickly this morning. The first is to be the best operated energy company in North America. And our second aspiration is to be a force for growth and renewed prosperity in the communities we work in and live in. And I think that second one, the second aspiration about being a force for growth and prosperity, really aligns well with what the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is trying to do. A good example of that is the commitment we've made with Governor Snyder to the Pure Michigan Business Connect. We've committed to do $750 million of additional purchasing over 5 years in the state of Michigan. We're really proud to say that we've hit that goal for the first year and a half so far. Today's keynote speaker, County Executive L. Brooks Patterson, is also really laser focused on economic development in Oakland County in the greater Detroit region. So we're really pleased to have him this morning. I'd like to just close with two thoughts. One is an event like this is put together by a group of hardworking individuals, and we have a public policy committee at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and if the public policy committee members would just stand up quickly, I'd like to just recognize them for the hard work that they've done. So if we could give them a round. And I'll just close by saying thank all of you for attending this morning, and I hope you enjoy the breakfast.
Thank you, Trevor. I'd like to take a moment now to introduce the dignitaries in the room. And these are people who are elected and appointed officials. So if you would stand and be recognized when your name is called, please. First is Redford Township Treasurer, Lily Kavanaugh. Wayne County Circuit Court Judge, Patricia Frizard. Retired State Representative Lee Gonzalez. Dan Crickbaum, the Director of the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. Wayne County Circuit Court Judge Maria Oxholm. Former Speaker of the Michigan House Chuck Perricone. The Deputy Counsel General, Midori Takechui. Retired Circuit Court Judge and MHCC Board Member, Isidore Torres. Wayne County Prosecutor, Kim Worthy. I will recognize more formally Brooks Patterson here in a minute. But before I do, I'd like to say a few words about the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, my favorite subject. And that's for the benefit of those of you who may not be familiar with the Chamber, because I did get a lot of questions today at the reception. They were really surprised to see, one, so many people, two, to be here all on time, right? Or even early in some cases. And, to see a packed house. So, maybe by way of explanation and some context, we were founded in 1989 by a group of automotive suppliers. One of the lead ones was a name you may be familiar with, Hank Aguirre, former Detroit Tiger pitcher and head of Mexican Industries in Michigan. Many of the suppliers that started with us are actually still with us. So that speaks to, one, their capability, and also to the fact that they survived the downturn. So our core competency as a chamber is in the automotive supplier space. That's both domestically and internationally. So wherever in the world our customers choose to invest in new business, that's where we go. And so our sweet spot for growth right now is in Mexico, with Brazil not far behind. The Chamber represents the interests of approximately 11,000 Hispanic-owned businesses, of which 1,750 are in Oakland County. Statewide, these businesses generate over $3.1 billion in annual receipts, and they employ over 15,000 people. MHCC is governed by a 30-member board of directors that is represented by OEMs, their Tier 1 suppliers, as well as Hispanic business enterprises who are also Tier 1 suppliers. And so if I could have the members of the board of directors please stand and just be recognized, please. Thank you. These are all very good people to know. So, as Trevor referenced, MHCC has an interest in enhancing the economic and social mobility of Michigan's 436,000 Hispanics. This represents 4% of the state's total population. And we were, and I think we still are, among the fastest growing segments of the Hispanic population. We grew at the rate of 34.7% between the years 2000 and 2010. We were second only to the Asians, who beat us by 0.2%. But I think some of you younger folks are going to fix that, right?
Right.
And so now we grew at the rate of 34.7%, while the rest of the state remained flat at 0.3%. So that tells you where we're going. So of the Hispanics here in the state, 75% are native-born and 25% are foreign-born. So for those of you who are interested in this population as a Hispanic consumer market, we as an MHCC also serve as an informational resource and also as an enabler for reaching these Hispanic consumers. So for additional information, I refer you to our website, www.mhcc.org. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, the Oakland County Executive, Elvis Patterson. Really, Mr. Patterson needs no introduction. You all seem to know him out there in the reception. And he's been in public office, since the early 1970s. I was just calculating that, he ran for office in one office back in 1972, but who's counting, right? So, in his current role, Mr. Patterson presides over a $796 million budget and a county workforce of over 4,000 full and part-time employees. And not to put too fine a point on it, during Mr. Patterson's 19 years in the executive office, Oakland County has maintained a AAA rating from Moody's Investor Services and Standard & Poor's for its adherence to fiscal prudence and for leading Oakland County from a manufacturing to a knowledge-based economy. He has achieved this through disciplined practices and the creation and implementation of what I would describe as an amazing list of county initiatives and programs. So I'm just going to mention a couple, because I know he's going to talk more about them. One is long-term budgeting. Oakland County is the first and only county in the nation that has adopted a balanced 3-year rolling line item budget. This helped Oakland County build up over $200 million in equity during the recession. The Emerging Sectors Initiative. In 2004, Mr. Patterson launched a program to identify the top 10 industry sectors that could deliver sustainable, high-paying jobs to Oakland County. At the end of last year, over 200 high-tech companies had invested nearly $3 billion, created 26,000 new jobs, and retained over 11,000 jobs. Medical Main Street. This initiative markets healthcare and life sciences as Oakland County's largest emerging industry sector and as a destination for world-class healthcare and medical device manufacturing. As of last year, 13 companies had come aboard with a total investment of $157 million, while creating and retaining 1,000 new jobs. All of you, I think, are familiar with Automation Alley, and this initiative dates back to one of Mr. Patterson's State of the County speeches back in 1997. And this is where he laid out his vision for Oakland County to make it competitive with the high-tech clusters in Silicon Valley and San Jose, Route 128 in Boston, and the Research Triangle in the Carolinas. So the results, according to the Technology Industry Report, are that Southeast Michigan has the highest number of advanced auto industry jobs in the United States and is positioned ahead of Boston, Seattle, and Austin in almost every conceivable measure. Further, it is second only to Silicon Valley in the number of people working in architectural and engineering occupations. As I said, these are just some of the highlights. But rather than continue what I know to be a really voluminous list of things, let's hear from the man himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Oakland County Executive, Elbrooks Pappas.
Thank you very much, everybody. Armando, thank you for that very generous introduction. One thing you didn't tell the audience is I'm a notary. You left that on. I am delighted to be here. I didn't realize that you had this many Oakland County residents, running into a whole lot of people from back home. I see you have a show of hands from the Oakland County residents here. Hell, we could have met with Troy Mary over here. Nice to see you. I'm delighted to join all of you, Oakland County, Wayne County, and have a chance to talk about a little bit about the county, a little bit about some of the topics du jour, and then, of course, any question you want to file, whether it's something I say this morning or something you want to ask me about, look forward to taking a variety of questions. I'm now introducing myself as Brother Patterson, the other county exec, to make sure that we all understand where I'm going. I'm delighted to be here. I had an interesting experience a couple of days ago. I worked out with my trainer, and have been doing so for a number of years, ever since I got my first stint. You gotta get me concerned. So I was working out with him, and a new gal showed up in class. Very attractive, physically fit, toned, but very pretty lady. So I said to the trainer, what machine should I use to attract her attention? My trainer said, try the ATM machine in the That was my former trainer. I'm delighted to be here with all my new friends. Let me start out with a couple of topics du jour, as I said, and of course that would have to be Detroit, and then a little bit about Wayne County, and then let me flip over to Oakland by way of comparison. I mean, Detroit is dominating the news, not necessarily good news. It's getting some terrible press nationally, not internationally. Today, it's because the headlines in one of the local papers that I saw was Detroit versus Detroit. That's the lawsuit that will be heard this morning up in Ingham County, and that's the lawsuit filed by Ms. Crittenden challenging the validity of the consent agreement. And if that is ruled invalid, obviously there will be an appeal, but it just puts more stall when we really don't need to stall. Time is of the essence. The city is on the verge of going, not bankrupt, but going out of money, running out of money, paying with paydays. The city of Detroit is the largest employer in Detroit. If you don't pay them and they don't come to work, then what do you have? What happens with the police? What happens with the fire stay home? What happens if people who run the water system stay home? So you got all kinds of unanswered questions, and the ramifications of this lawsuit are yet to be determined, and it's fascinating in sort of a ghoulish way. It's just something you've never seen before, never thought you'd see before, is a city the size of Detroit in such desperate straits. And I was listening to on the radio this morning coming down here, Charles Pugh being interviewed by Paul W. And he was blaming it all on the governor. And I kept thinking, that's really a quantum leap, blaming Detroit's problems on the governor. The governor's saying, hey, this is your mess, clean it up. So it's today is going to be, I think, an eventful day for the corporation, the city of Detroit. If they rule that the consent agreement is invalid, then all hell will break loose. Money is only probably good until next week, and then it really gets, I think, dicey. The consent agreement is part of this new Public Act 4, PA 4 you hear so much about. PA 4 is the successor to Public Act 72. 72 was the Emergency Financial Manager. PA 4 is Emergency Manager. Pulled out the word financial for a reason. Emergency Financial Manager can only deal with finances. The Emergency Manager can deal with everything. And that's what PA 4 does. And I know PA 4 up close and personal because we have an emergency manager in the city of Pontiac. And I'll tell you about that very quickly, what he has achieved. The emergency manager is shock and awe. They come in and they can do a lot of things very quickly. And the city is fighting. They don't want emergency management. They say we can handle our own financing, which I don't think they can. And when emergency management went into the city of Pontiac, because it's a microcosm of what was happening in Detroit, we dropped to the bottom line. Pontiac is now in the black, operating within its revenues. The emergency management is about to withdraw and give the city back to the city fathers, but they've been sitting on the sidelines for about 18 months. But in order to get there, this is what Pontiac is. You give enough. Pontiac doesn't have a police department. Pontiac contracts with my sheriff's department. Pontiac doesn't have a fire department. Pontiac contracts with water. Pontiac does not have a city hall or a city clerk. We do the clerk's business in my clerk's office. And so when Pontiac used to have 450 employees, today they have 40. That's why the public unions are fighting this law so vehemently, because they can see what's coming from city to city around the state. And there are a lot of cities right on the precipice of emergency management. Detroit's fighting it for the same reason. And you can understand it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm a big fan of PA4 because over here you got a city, any city, that's in fiscal chaos, fiscal distress. You got an emergency manager who's the last chance to restore some sanity to the whole process. You pull him out, you got a fiscal distress and you got bankruptcy. And so PA4 does play a very important intervening role. And if that law is declared unconstitutional, and there's a petition drive to have it on the ballot, and if that is certified by the Board of Canvassers, now it's in court. The point is, if it's certified as a legal question, boom, PA4 is in suspension until the election in November. It's all like the emergency managers who are working in the state would be withdrawn. I would lose show one Pontiac. And the city fathers who got us into the mess would come back in and take over. So I think 4 is a stopgap measure. As I said before, it's shock and awe. But I think at these points, when we reach crisis level, you need an outside person who's not beholden to the system, who comes in and makes the tough calls that, for whatever reason, those in charge refuse to make or cannot make. Let me just give you a quick picture of Detroit, and I think you can understand how they got into the mess they're in. Most of these numbers, I have a cold, pardon me as I deal with my sniffles here. Most of these numbers come from Citizens Research Council, so I think that says they're pretty valid. Real estate values over the last 8 years, incredible. Real estate values in the city of Detroit over 8 years dropped 97%. So the homes went from an average of $97,848 down to $12,439. 25% of Detroit population left during that same time frame. Detroit gets about 14% of its revenue for its budget from property taxes. The average in Michigan is 60%, so well below the state average. Last decade, the income tax in Detroit dropped from $380 million down to today $220 million. Well, if you lose jobs, you lose revenue from income tax. The business loss, this goes back to '72. And unfortunately, my numbers only go up to 2001, so I'm going to have to try to find more current numbers. But between 1972 and 2001, basically a 30-year period, businesses in Detroit dropped from 23,465 down to 7,817. There's 383 parcels of land in Detroit. Unfortunately, Detroit owns 110,000. Reverted to the city of Detroit. You don't pay taxes if the city owns those parcels. Citizens Research Council suggests that the total debt, all in debt for Detroit, is over $14 billion. So it has really reached crisis proportion. Stay tuned to today's lawsuit and the determination by the judge up there, Collette is his name. I predict, it's always tough to make predictions on my reports, but I got a few judges in the audience, so I'm sure validate that. But I think he will declare the consent agreement invalid. And this is then we'll let the games begin. Wayne County, again, watching Wayne County from afar, it's just more revelation after revelation after revelation. The numbers that Bishop McConnell puts out sometimes are challenged by his own people, his own budget departments, and I just don't want to say too much about it because he's not. Wayne County's not where Detroit is, but Wayne County is doing its best to get there, and we'll keep an eye on that. Let me talk about my county that I know so much more about than Wayne Detroit. I'm delighted to have a chance to bring you all up to speed, and that was the request this morning to bring you up to speed on what's happening in Oakland. And I'll say right from the get-go that Brooks Patterson is only one of a team. I've got some really good men and women in government service who Any of them could go to the private sector and make more money, but they enjoy the challenge, they enjoy the success, making something happen. If it's broken, fix it. If it doesn't exist, we create it. And that's been the motto since day one. And I see one of my former directors out here, Maureen Krause. Maureen, where are you going? Yes, there she was my former director of economic development. She was for a number of years as director, and really one of the most important aspects of my government, my county, is economic development. We're always trying to bring in more business, new jobs, different kind of jobs. Maybe I'll explain that in a moment. And then Maureen recently joined the Chamber of Commerce down here in Detroit. Oakland County, we, as Amanda said in his introduction, enjoyed the benefits of the AAA bond rating. We got that back in 1998. We held on to it during that terrible decade, the first decade when the recession clobbered us in 2007, 8, and 9. My county lost 60,000 jobs in 1 year. Incredible. It was a huge body blow. That's when Chrysler and GM both went bankrupt. Chrysler was headquartered in Oakland. As you know, GM was my largest employer, not anymore, Beaumont Hospital. So we lost a significant amount of jobs, but still we were able to convince Wall Street that we were AAA credit worthy. And what that means when you're all businessmen and businesswomen here in the chamber, you know exactly what that means. When we go to market on issues, whether it's roads or drains or sewer, whatever the public works project might be, we go there with the lowest possible interest rate, 2.8, 2.7%. In order to fund these projects. AAA allows us to do that. It's tough for us to get a firm number on the amount of money we've saved since we got that AAA back in '98, but we know it's in the millions, even tens of millions of dollars we have saved by going to the market with low interest rates. And we've worked out a way now that the 61 communities in Oakland County can borrow off my AAA. So when a local community, whether it's Birmingham or Commerce, goes to market, we loan them. They pay back on our AAA, so they get the benefit of that. Moody's, in the last go-around, called Oakland County the best managed county in America. I'm not flattering myself, I'm flattering the team I've got. I've got a great team, and we really do set some benchmarks for. And when it comes to budgeting, like Amanda pointed out, that we're the only county, 3,200 some odd county, we're the only county who has mastered the 3-year budget. So I'm in balance today for 2012, 2013, 2014, and we're already working on problems that we see out in 2015. And they're not significant, but they're there because the economy is beginning to recover. But those problems, when they manifest themselves in the current fiscal year, when we get there to 2015, those problems will be long resolved. And that's really been a secret to our success, this long-range plan. We call it thoughtful management versus crisis management. And because we have this long-term approach, we see the problem way out front. We deal with them now, and by the time we get there, it should be a pretty smooth year for us. I also had the good sense back in 2004 or 5 to form a budget task force. I've got 5 deputies in my administration. They direct report to me. Then I have 2 major departments, which is HR and management budget. Those 2 directors and my 5 deputies, I created a task force. They meet literally every Monday to work on one thing: the budget, problems, hybrid, the freezes, what freezes we have, but everything that has any kind of financial implication has to come through the task force. And I gave them carte blanche to do what they have to do to make sure the county books are balanced. In fact, we're running a significant surplus. And I've got to tell you, on the side, I gave them such power. We're looking for ways to cut costs, and those bastards took my car 2 years ago. So, be careful what you create. I'm not driving a Chrysler 300 that I own outside there. But it worked, because the task force is very, very tough. They sit, and everybody in the county knows who they are, and they have to get through them to get anything. Another employee added, any kind of a promotion, and we've been riding herd on them. So this past year, when we ended the fiscal year, September 30th, I think Wayne was running about a $160 million deficit. Detroit was, well, we can't count Detroit's number because the reports are so thin, but several hundred million probably. Macomb was about 30 million short, and we ran a $201 million surplus. And so that really does set us apart. And that's why Moody says we're a well-managed county. And it goes back to the team I've got in place who are so good at what they do that we continue to run those kinds of. Now we're going to live on that surplus. We asked my employees for cuts in wages and benefits and so forth. Those days are over. I've laid nobody off. We reduced our workforce by 300 through attrition, and we've reduced hours. We've added costs for prescriptions and so forth. But those days are over. I got that surplus. We're going to live off that until 2015. By that time, we know that our budget, the revenues will be restored, and we should be well on our way to the halcyon days we used to enjoy. We have a economic forecast luncheon, and we hired many years ago, almost 28 years ago, foremost economists, I think, in the country, Fulton and Grimes from U Labor Institute, and they do forecasting for the state, they do forecasting for Oakland. Now Holmes picked them up, Wayne's picked them up, and they go all around the country. And we had that lunch in April, and Don Fulton, George Fulton gets up to the mic and he says, you know, I predicted Oakland County would create 13,000 new jobs during 2011. This is just a couple months ago. He said, I got to apologize. I have never been so far off in my projection. Oakland County did not create 13,000 jobs last year. They created 23,000. They missed it by a full 10,000. He says, you cannot maintain that pace. You are red hot. It's non-sustainable. So it's going to cool off. We know it's going to cool off. So the next 3 years, you'll add 35,000 more. But 23,000 and 35,000, you see we're back in the job creation business. That 60,000 I lost in 09, we're quickly trying to recoup from that. We have a new program that we just launched yesterday. If you come to my campus, you'll see around my building 18708, 18 sets of paper, 18708. That's the number of jobs I have to create, my county has to create in order to get to below 5% unemployment. If I can find 18,708 jobs, we'll drop below 5. That's my goal. And I'll tell you, we're going to be there within 18 months. How did we get to where we are? I mean, we're pretty solid. Nice surplus, AAA, jobs on the rise. And we got there, again, through, I think, the task force was a big help, of course. And then, I know you won't be able to see this, it's too small, but every one of these entries is a change to our benefit schedule. And we've had some 20-some adjustments that really have put us in good shape. First one right back here in 1984, we discontinued longevity pay. What that meant, if you were with the county for more than 10 years, you got a kicker, 10%. Well, we discontinued doing that. That was the handcuff in the old days. Give you a kicker if you stayed longer. Well, we did away with the handcuff, and since we did away with that, we have saved $55 million in payments. We go all the way through this list. In 2006, we discontinued the traditional defined benefit, went to our DC plan, defined contribution, and on that one we saved $400 million. So all the way through here, if you took all the adjustments we've made to benefits and so forth, the total we have saved is $650 million. That's why the county is in such good financial shape. We started a long time ago. Remember my mantra, thoughtful management versus crisis management? This is years and years, a couple decades of thoughtful management, making the cuts we had to make, and now the benefits have come home to roost. I think the significance of the whole benefit package that we've produced can be probably spelled out in one fact. We're the only county in America, the only one to have paid off our legacy costs. You hear so much about legacy costs for promises made for retired health care. We're done. We paid it off a couple of years ago. We got within striking distance, $650 million. We had an actuary back in the 80s tell us what we had to pay. So we've been making payments quietly, below the radar screen. Back about 3 years ago, we got within $650 million of final payments. So we sold some bonds, paid it off. I dropped my interest rate because the bonds are cheaper than what I was paying for the health care, for the funding, the benefits for retiree health care. We saved the residents of Oakland County $150 million in short time frame on those bonds from 30 down to 20 years. So it was a win-win-win all the way around. Again, it gives me bragging rights. The only county that has no legacy costs. So the county's in good shape from that perspective as well in that regard. Let's talk very quickly about the future, then I'll take some questions. The future, I think, will be summed up in the program that Armando told you about back in 04. A little bit of prescience on our part. We saw we had a lot of eggs in one basket called the automotive basket. And I couldn't get out of that basket fast enough when we caught up with this in 09 because Chrysler went bankrupt and GM went bankrupt. But we saw it coming, not the bankruptcy. We just saw that there was a change in the kind of jobs for the future. So we went out and did our research and we found 10 sectors for employment in the future. And those sectors, of course, are the ones that we now call the emerging sectors. And every month my staff gives me a report on how we're doing bringing business into these 10 sectors. Very quickly, I can tell you what they are, and I think you'd be no surprises there. And just alphabetically: advanced electronics, advanced materials, nanotechnology, aerospace, alternative energy, communication, and IT. Here's one that popped up. We did a lot of research. This one popped up as the top 10 growth sector. And I said, nah. Went back, and sure enough, defense and homeland security, a growth sector. I guess that says a lot. Film and digital media, insurance, that's finance and insurance, medical mainstream, robotics, water technology. So my staff gives me this report. They tell me how we're doing since we kicked this program off in 4. We researched it in 3, launched it in 4. And here's my grand totals. Success since inception. We brought in 205 companies within those parameters of the 10 sectors. They've invested $1.8 billion, created 26,000 jobs, held on to 11,006, and have paid to the federal, state, local units of government over $46 million, of which the county got to 4.3, so it's paying for itself. This program, diversification, is the future for Oakland County. We're going into the high-tech sector. You might call it the knowledge-based economy. That's where I'm gambling. That I think this country is going to go, and certainly I want to be leading here in this county. The knowledge-based economy. Those are sustainable, high-paying jobs in the future. And when we get there, and I think it's going to be a 25-year. We've been in it for 8, so we've got a little way to go before we get to the diversification that I think is necessary. And then at the end of that time, I will tell you, I don't think this program will make Oakland County recession-proof. But I will argue that it will make Oakland County recession-resistant. That we spread out our risk over so many sectors. And that's the goal for emerging sectors. And so the future is, from my perspective, this program, emerging sectors. I got my whole team working on it downstairs, got 109 people in economic development. Everybody is laser focused on emerging sectors. One other thing, IT, budget obviously dominates in this climate. The budget is dominating in Detroit, budget is dominating in Wayne, and we too. It's something we work on every week at the budget task force. But we still can walk and shoot gun. My IT department, for the last 2 years, has been recognized by the Center for Digital Government, not the department, but the department that's got us there as a county, as the most digitally progressive county in America. I mean, the highest IT inculcation of information technology benefits into our daily workforce. And so 2 years in a row, we're ranked #1 out of 3,200 counties. And so we're doing other things besides budgeting, which we can spread out our efforts. And so very quickly, we have time also to develop what I call quality of life issues, arts, speeds, and needs. We started that back in '99. It's now a major festival, ranked in the top 10 in the country as far as attraction. Count Your Steps. That was a program I don't buy. I asked my friends in the corporate sector to help me support buy binometers for every 3rd and 4th grader in Oakland County. And then we walk for a whole month. And the kids, the winning classes, get to go to the zoo, to the wave park, and the wave pool, and the park, and so forth. These kids have walked 17 billion steps combined. And getting them off the couch away from the video games, just trying to fight childhood obesity. The Brooksy Way, labor of love for me. I lost my son in '07. In February of '07, I gave a speech. It was actually February 7th of '07. And I said I wanted to introduce a half marathon to get more physical fitness, get in the community, feel, stay healthy. And 3 days later, I lost my voice. So the committee then named the race the Brooksy Way. And that's an extrapolation from the eulogy my son-in-law gave when he said, "You're going to live life. Go for the deepest snow. If you're rafting, go for the white water. Do it the Brooksy Way." That's the name of the race. We're in our 5th year this year. And we probably have we're going to attract over 6,000. When we did our inaugural one back in '08, we had 4,000. The largest inaugural race in Michigan. Now we'll be over 6 and 7 some roads every year. But here's the point I want to make. We run not a big profit, a reasonable profit. We take the money that we make from support from sponsors and from registrations. We set up a fund called the Brooksy Way Mini, M-I-N-I, Mini Grant. Any organization in Oakland County that has as its mission, its purpose for that group, for that organization, to improve the health of its membership or to improve the health of the community, will help fund their costs. And so, 5K at the church, a swim class for challenged kids, a dance club for seniors, get them up, move. Anything that you have that will improve the health of residents of the county, you can apply for a mini grant. We've given out close to 90,000 now to organizations around the country. So the money we get from the race, we put back in to, again, trying to improve the health and ultimately the quality of life. So it's a good event, and it gets a lot of support. Well, with that, I know I'm talking quick. I want to make sure we have time for Q&A. And as I say, ladies and gentlemen, anything is fair game as far as the questions go. And I want to thank you for inviting me down this morning to join you. I want to point out, as the questions start, Tony Michaels is sneaking out on me. Tony, I see him. So right there. So I don't, I'm not going to be offended. Oh, yeah.
Again, I'm Lee Gonzalez, and many of you know that Armando is fond of teamwork, so he asked me to suit up for duty this morning, and this is indeed a pleasure. Thoughtful management, absolutely, and the other thing that I've known, I'm in Genesee County, Oakland County's northern neighbor, and I used to work for county government a few years ago, and we always looked at Oakland County as a model, cross-boundary collaboration between the private and public sectors.
We do a lot of work up in Tennessee, actually, with Bishop Airport.
Absolutely.
We formed a sort of ad hoc task force, and when we put this together, there were 3 gates, and I had 12 gates. We'd like to think a little part of that growth that we brought more traffic to the Bishop. But that Bishop Airport is a jewel.
It really is. And so, why don't we start with when will Oakland County Public Schools have Spanish taught K-12 to equip our children within a global economy? And I think that leads into also maybe global mission.
Yeah. Well, again, schools don't report directly to me. In fact, they're very, very independent of the county executive. But their buildings across the street, I have a good working relationship with the secondary schools. It's Vicki Markovitz. She's the superintendent who really operates and oversees the operation of 28 school districts. It's my belief there is Spanish taught in some of the schools, not universally across all campuses. And that's really left to the superintendent, and they're moving classes around, they're dropping classes and adding classes. But I could probably get your firm number, but I think probably the majority of schools have Spanish in them. But French is there, Chinese, Mandarin's coming into a lot of schools. But I agree, the Hispanic community is a significant part of not only this part of the state, but around the country. And we ought to be able to learn the language and learn the customs and speak the language.
I appreciate the fact that the buzz, starting from coffee earlier this morning and also in the room here this morning, you could just feel how vibrant it has been. And the old saying, todos juntos somos uno, together we are one. And I think that you know.
I said that this morning.
What do you think of Governor Snyder's plan to bypass the legislature to build a new bridge?
That's a bold move. That's a bold move. When Snyder took office, he did a lot of things right, a couple things I don't necessarily agree with. But one of the things he did wrong, in my opinion, he just picked up the Granholm plan that was already laid out, and she had decided to build a bridge to take the permission slip through the legislature. He didn't have to go there. He has the authority over here on his own. He can build a road, he can build a bridge, and he doesn't have to go to the legislature if no taxpayers funds it. And so he, instead of doing that, he said, well, I'll just finish the Granholm model. Well, he got into the legislature, got smacked down. And so now he's backing out, and I think this Friday he's going to announce that he's going to do it on his own, with the executive authority that he has. Nobody challenges that. He can do it as long as he doesn't expend taxpayers' funds. Apparently, as I understand it, I'm not an expert on the bridge, it's going to be front-end loaded, funded by Canada, and they'll be paid back over the years with toll. That's how it's going to operate. So basically, no taxpayers' funds are being expended. And he says, threatened. The argument, of course, is that the tolls can't support the thing, and that's yet to be debated in the marketplace. But I personally think, as an executive, if I've got the power, I'm going to wield it.
Along the lines of economic development and the regional economy and the role that your county plays in that, do you see the need and how intense is Oakland's effort to attract foreign investment?
Oh, we do a lot of worldwide travel, and not me necessarily personally. I've been to a few places, but I started Automation Alley. They take 2 or 3 trade missions a year around the world. We're going, I think, to Brazil. Again, this year they're going to China later in the year. My staff will be going to a couple of foreign countries. I think Japan is on the list. We do a lot of international recruiting. We now have 840 foreign firms in Oakland County, creating about 140 or 145,000 jobs, best we can calculate, to these companies. They come with, what's the name of your husband's company?
Wabasto.
Yeah,
He
Wabasto
doesn't
came
own
over
it. He
here
doesn't own
in the 90s, 8 people. 8 people. I think before the implosion of the auto industry, they got up to 1,300. So, you know, when the company comes with 2 or 3 engineers or 2 or 3 sales force, I love it, but I know it won't be long before they begin to add. And so we find the foreign investment to be a job creator. And we promote, also our firms. We take our firms over to those countries because they want to expand into international markets as well. So it's a two-way street. It's not just import. We like to take our firms with us when we go.
How will the emerging financial crisis in Europe potentially affect Oakland County?
Well, that's a tough one. You know, if it causes a banking crisis back here, the economy is impacted in a negative way if Europe goes into its own dissolution of the European market that they built, and it'll probably impact financing. We're clearly coming up the last freeze on capital, access to capital. I can see it impacting the banking back here to a certain extent. And certainly those companies that export to Europe aren't going to be impacted because the economy there will be in an absolute tailspin. It'll impact business. I got a couple of friends who have, in fact, I'm on board of one company that has plant facilities in Italy, down to Germany, over to Luxembourg. So we watch it very, very carefully because we know it will impact our business directly. And so yeah, I'm assuming there's a lot of people who have business interests, or know people who have business interests that are also have a European, extension of that business, and so it'll impact those businesses for sure.
I read in the newspaper recently that you had quite an exchange with one of the county officials from Washington County.
No.
And so this question kind of relates to that, in knowing that you're always political. But should Washington County have a county exec?
I think we all understand the system in Michigan up until Oakland County went to a county exec in '94. All counties, all 83 counties, were run by the Board of Commissioners. So you had the legislature performing 2 roles. The legislature, they pass ordinances, and then you run around the table and execute. You also play the executive branch. Then you have the judicial branch over here. Oakland County in '94 was the first county to go to an executive form. So now we have a legislative body that sets the policy, the executive executes, administers, and judicial. And when you have a small county, maybe the board can play both seats. When you get to a county the size of like Macomb just went to it, they're pushing, I think, over 800,000, 650,000. You get to a point where you cannot play both roles. You can't run a county of our size, or Wayne size, or Macomb size. Well, I have committee. That's basically what a county board is. And the problem is nobody's in charge. Everybody says, well, that's your committee, that's your committee. So when you elect an executive, for good or for bad, at least you know who to hold responsible. So it's a matter of size.
This question is written in red ink, so this must be a good one. If you were Bob Vacano, would you have resigned by now? If not, what would you do to keep the county moving forward?
Okay, next question, lady.
If you were Bob Vacano,
I probably do the same thing I gave him advice on. Bob got himself in he stepped into this maelstrom. He can't extricate himself. Every day there's another revelation. I don't know how you stop it once this thing's going, downhill, picking up momentum. We've talked about some of what we talked about during the coffee hour. What's going to take about to get a handle on some of the challenges, and his fame may have gone beyond his ability to control things. From his perspective, it's probably out of control, and how he regains it. It's going to have to play its way out, I guess. I mean, what he needs is a couple, use a baseball analogy. A home run would be nice, but a couple of strong belts would help. If he can come out with some programs that make sense and help support the taxpayers. The public will be somewhat forgiving, but I just don't see a whole lot of new initiatives that could deflect public's attention to something more positive.
You've made several trips to the Far East and Europe. Why not South America, Mexico?
Oh, I've been to Mexico several times. South America, my office went to Brazil, going back, Long Beach now is going back, I think, the next few months. Actually, one of my nephews is from Colombia, Alejandro. So, I have no problem going there. Right now, the markets that are probably more accessible and offer a greater, return on investment will probably be some of the European markets where, we actually, what the best market for us was in all the trade missions I've not personally been on, maybe 3 or 4. Israel. We broke contracts on the spot. Israel is a high-tech nation. They want to get to our market. Our market is still considered the best market in the world to get into. And so that was a very, very productive trip. We're going back. And I've been to China. And when I got there, I do my homework, as you would expect me to do. And I was getting ready for that trip. I was reading a lot. And come to find out, this is a statistic we made in Asia as well. Amaze might be too strong a word. You may find interest. There's more English spoken in China than there's English spoken in America. If you think about that, I did for a long time. Obviously, they're getting ready for the global challenge, the global marketplace, and they're emerging very quickly. The rest of the world, based on a poll I saw this morning, thinks China is now the most dominant economy in the world. America's fallen from that first down to second place. So China is, I don't want to say a threat, that's not the word I want to use. China and the economy is going to be a challenge, and we've got to meet that challenge. So I found out, I went there, they get their kids prepared for it by teaching English, and so they're going to be able to play in that marketplace with an advantage that we're going to have to match it, we have to beat it.
Why do you support Nancy
Yes, hope.
for Thad Cotter's 11th?
I'm sorry?
Why do you support Nancy Cassis for Thad Cotter's 11th congressional district seat?
Okay, good question. You all know that the Cotter tragedy, we had a meeting about 25 of us, and we wanted to get somebody out there who could prevail and hold that seat in the Republican College. We interviewed a bunch of people, got down to 5, who were serious, and I'll be frankly honest with you, we brought in, I won't mention names, the first guy, he said, well, we've only got 3 weeks. You're going to have to do 3 or 4 mailings within 3 weeks because absentee ballots are going on. That's what you want to get on the absentee ballot. And so how much money you got in the bank? None. How much can you raise? Well, I'll have to form a committee. Have a couple fundraisers. And the clock's ticking. Second one came in. How much money you got? None. How much can you raise? Well, I can probably raise, a couple $100,000, but I'm going to have a couple fundraisers. Third one comes in. So how much, money can you raise? It really comes down to money. Well, first of all, I got to move into the district. The next candidate. Nancy came in. And so how much money can you raise? I'll put in $250 today. Money talks. But in one walks, and so so she's prepared to hit the ground running. She represented that district when she was in the Senate, so she knows the district. She's well financed. She can get a message out quicker. And in time, the absentee ballots go out. I just signed my application yesterday, so the process is moving. We're going to get a candidate in a position to win the right. You got to get out there now.
She has been excellent on public policy, as I recall. How can Hispanic-owned business, this is the last question, how can Hispanic-owned businesses tap into Oakland County's resources?
Well, I met a couple of guys today that, frankly, I hadn't met before, so I'm delighted to be here. And this was I think, an information technology company. I have a couple of groups. I have a business roundtable, and I started that way back in my 1992 campaign for county exec. That's when I first ran. And I said, I don't have all the answers. I know I don't. So I'm willing to, I want to set up an outside group of advisors, a business roundtable, and ask the private sector, what is it you expect from Oakland County? And I can't give you a word of peace, that. But what can you realistically ask the county to do to improve the business climate, the business environment, so you all can succeed in business? And so we had 125 businessmen and women, some from education, most of them for business. Now that's grown to about 225 with a huge waiting list. And the reason people want to get on the roundtable is because we've implemented, at the end of the year, they give me a report. We've implemented 82% of their suggestions. So it was within my power to influence and impact. So people want to be on that roundtable. I suggest that a couple of business leaders in this group this morning want to participate and really get involved in a very important aspect of how we manage county government. In fact, I see Debbie Butler, her husband, Matt is my new deputy in charge of that. We'll make room for a couple of Hispanic leaders so you can see how it works and we can enjoy the benefit of your input as well. Excellent. Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, Brooks, thanks you very much for being with us and giving us an absolutely fabulous remarks and Q&A. Typically we give our keynote speakers a plaque, but we know that you have an interest in charitable activities, and so we know that the Rainbow Connection is one of your charities.
Sure. Very quick things.
Okay. So we just wanted to make sure that you got a contribution from the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to the charity.
Thank you so much. Rainbow Connection is a charity I started back in 1980. My best friend was flying a plane. He, his wife, and his two kids. His two kids were age my two kids, and they crashed in Ontario. Killed the two kids in the back seat. Killed himself. Ron was the pilot, and his wife survived. That was in August of 80. Strike that. It was in May 10th of 80. In August of 80, I put on a golf outing in memory of the kids. We sent $3,000 to the Clarkson schools. And the next year we did the second name, Dobson, St. Ron Dobson, did Dobson Open. We sent the proceeds to the school in memory of the kids after about the 4th or 5th year. Some of the guys and gals in attendance, hey Brooks, I'm from Troy. I'm from Birmingham. Why do I send money to the Clarkson schools? And that was a fair criticism. So we incorporated in '85 as the Rainbow Connection, and the focus is not just keeping the memory of the two kids, Tim and Jennifer, alive, but to reach out to other kids who are going to have their life cut short by an illness. So we grant wishes for terminally ill children. Since then, going all the way back to AIDS, what's that, 37 years ago, we have grown now to our charity is about about $1.9 million a year. That's how much. I've got 9 full-time employees. We own our own headquarters up in Rochester on Walton, and it's we've granted so far over 2,200 wishes, and so it's really fun to watch how this thing has grown and services more kids in the tri-state, actually in the whole state. Things most kids want to go to Disney World, so we fly not only the child who is sick, but the siblings with that child, because I believe that may be the last time they're going to see that child in a good environment, happy environment. And they want things like televisions like to their bedroom. They want to go to England. One little boy wanted to sleep in a real castle. So we flew the family to London and slept in a real castle. When he was dying, that little boy went blind first. He said, "Mom, I can still see the fire in the fireplace." So it's really a very charity that I'm delighted to be participating in.
Thank you again to Mel Brooks Patterson and to all of you for your sponsorship. Thank you very much. Have a fabulous day.
I'm Chuck Perricone, former Speaker of the House, and a couple of things strike me about this conference. One is the energy, the depth and breadth of the membership, and of course the presentation by Brooks Patterson. What can you say? The man always delivers, and that county is second to none. We could all learn a lot from him. Thank you.
Very good. Dr. K.B. Stallworth, President and CEO of the Energy Group. The breakfast this morning is absolutely outstanding. The only thing that I think could be better is if we had it 4 times a year instead of 1. Certainly in thanks of the keynote speaker today, I think it was very good that the county executive made a commitment to continue to reach out specifically to the Hispanic community as it relates to investment, both domestically and foreign, and in his foreign trade missions. The other thing that I think is very important that we continue to do is advocate for expansion of R&D that will allow our companies that are in the manufacturing area to move into new service areas related to the IT economy. But once again, congratulations on a great breakfast, and I look forward to coming back next year.
I'm Jorge Chiria, Director of the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies at Wayne State University. I am pleased to be here at the Public Policy Breakfast, sponsored by the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. My favorite part was the Power Network component. It lasted for a really good amount of time. I had a chance to reconnect with some people that I know of and meet new people. What I've learned out of the program is the value of long-term planning. Planning for the long term and keeping an optimistic view of the future, thinking about what the future lies ahead and try to prepare for it.
Hi, I'm Yvette Rivas-Diamond. I'm an attorney in Oakland County. I came from Texas via Chicago to Michigan, so now I'm a Midwesterner. The event was a really great opportunity to get to meet people both from the private sector and the business areas and all of the different automotive suppliers, banking, financial institutions, staffing, all wide range of small businesses, and also a lot of people in the Hispanic community that work for some of the agencies. And it was interesting to talk to different people, and there's a lot of common concerns, both in the private and the public sector, that can be joined together by meeting at events like this, where we can talk about the issues that are of concern to everyone in the community and see how we can work together from the business sector to the communities and try to improve the lives of Hispanic people, improve the lives of everyone else in the community, to have discourse and to talk about these issues that are of concern to us. One of the things that L. Brooks Patterson was very inspiring. Noted is, he had to give up his car. This financial situation that we're all in. His speech, basically, the core of it is that we're all in it together. We all have to tighten our belts and get fit, which was a major point of his speech also. Get fit, get healthy, and the point of being healthy is not just in your body, but also healthy financially as well, because if everybody's healthy, then everything is better for the community and everyone's lives. So that's kind of a subtle message in there, but it's definitely a positive one that everyone here could probably take home and use in their business life and their personal life as well.
Armando Ojeda, Executive Director, Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Jennifer Nielsen, Business Development Manager at the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
The 8th Annual Public Policy Breakfast was carried out today. L. Brooks Patterson, the Oakland County Executive, was the keynote speaker. The feedback that we received is really quite interesting in the sense that people came together, and we had a lot of the Latino thought leaders here, both from the community standpoint, from the business standpoint, from the political standpoint. So many of those folks didn't really know each other, but had an opportunity to begin interacting. The other piece was, and this was commented by one of the folks who is very active in Wayne County, and what they said was, they were very surprised at, one, the number of Oakland County people, the number of Latinos from Oakland County that were here in this room, and also that L. Brooks Patterson reached out to the Latino community and offered 2 positions on the Business Development Board. And so that was a big and unexpected outreach from Oakland County to come and participate in an economic development environment that is frankly flourishing. And so, even though we have a concentration of the Latino population in Wayne County, we don't necessarily get that either from the city of Detroit or Wayne County itself.
I think one of our members has already touched on it, but I think one of the underlying messages that everyone can take home from today is to be not only be thoughtful about staying fit personally, but staying fit as a business. And that's something that the Chamber intends to carry out in the products and services that we're offering our members. So stay tuned for updates from the Chamber on how you can get involved as a member in those opportunities.
Well, there's an entirely different strategy that is being developed by the Chamber. We are known for being in the automotive industry and being suppliers primarily. And so we are now starting to do much more of an outreach to the smaller businesses, the non-automotive businesses, those service businesses that, Latinos are out there. They have those businesses, but they're not part of an organization like ours. And so we think it's important for us to embrace them, to do an outreach with them, to help them not only develop their businesses, but also to give them access to a lot of new customers and to engage them in a way that helps their businesses grow and to give some visibility and critical mass to the Latino business community. The Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce annual golf outing, we've had it now for 21 years, is one of the largest of its kind, whether it's Hispanic or not. We're going to have play over 3 championship golf courses. It's sponsored by DTE and Bank of America, and we have always, the automotive companies and their Tier 1 suppliers participate. So the point of all of this is an opportunity for Hispanic entrepreneurs and others to take their customers out onto the course, spend an actual day socializing and talking, a combination of business and pleasure, and then coming together, for the contests, because we do have contests and we actually do give out cash prizes, the opportunity to compete for $1 million if they get a hole in one in a shootout. One of the winners walks away with $7,500 is to be used toward the purchase of a domestic vehicle. And so there's also cash prizes because we have a 50-50 raffle. But those are kind of the fun pieces. But more importantly, this is the opportunity to take your customers out. This is an opportunity to meet new customers because we try to be very strategic. We have buyers that are in foursomes, and we try to put Hispanic MBEs in those foursomes so that they can have an opportunity to talk to a buyer at length over 18 holes, which is an opportunity you would never get anywhere else. And that tends to firm up the relationship. It tends to give people entree. So the next time they make a call, it's not a cold call, it's a warm call. It's one where the relationship has been developed. And it's another step toward either new incremental business or brand new business if you haven't done this before. It's important for the Latino community to participate. To a very great extent, we are invisible to everybody. There's 436,000 of us, and people say, oh, I didn't know there were Hispanics in Michigan. And to the extent that they even know that there's Hispanics in Michigan, they operate from the stereotype of us being poor and illegal. And so it's important for people to come to events like this because we invite the spectrum of people, political leaders, civic leaders, business leaders of all types. And to the extent that they begin to know and interact with the Hispanic community, then they really understand who we really are. They engage us, they want to involve us, and that's really a critical piece for us to have not only a presence, but have a voice, have a point of view, and be able to advance our agenda. It's important for the Latino community to participate. To a very great extent, we are invisible to everybody. There's 436,000 of us, and people say, oh, I didn't know there were Hispanics in Michigan. And to the extent that they even know that there's Hispanics in Michigan, they operate from the stereotype of us being poor and illegal. And so it's important for people to come to events like this because we invite the spectrum of people, political leaders, civic leaders, business leaders of all types. And to the extent that they begin to know and interact with the Hispanic community, then they really understand who we really are. They engage us, they want to involve us, and that's really a critical piece for us to have not only a presence, but have a voice, have a point of view, and be able to advance our agenda.